He worked at the same company for 25 years. He was one of the best in the business, but he never became the boss.
Why not?
Because he was Asian.
Wait, seriously?
That same man started his own company at 56. Today, that company is worth over $1 trillion. It makes the chips inside your phone, your laptop, every AI server.
1 trillion? What company is this?
TSMC, and this is the story of Morris Chang, the man the world rejected and the empire he built. 1931, a boy was born in Ningbo, China. His name was Morris Chang. He wanted to be a writer when he grew up.
A writer, not a scientist?
Nope, he loved novels, but then war came. In 1937, Japan attacked China. His family ran from city to city, 6 cities total.
6 cities? He was just a kid.
He was 6 years old when it started. He became a refugee.
Refugee? What does that mean exactly?
Someone who has to leave home because of war or danger. In Hong Kong, Japan took over. He lived under enemy control for a year. Bombs, hunger, running, that was his childhood.
That's so tough for a kid.
But here's the thing, that pain made him strong. At 18, his father said, "Forget writing, study something useful." So he went to America, alone. The boy who lost everything was about to build everything. He went to Harvard first, then MIT, then Stanford for his PhD.
Harvard and MIT? Wow.
In 1958, he joined a company called Texas Instruments, TI. He worked there for 25 years. He became senior vice president of the whole chip division.
So he was basically running the place?
Almost. He ran the entire semiconductor business. But when it was time to pick a new CEO, they passed him.
Why? He was the most qualified.
He hit a glass ceiling.
Glass ceiling? Like a real ceiling?
No, it's an expression, an invisible wall. You can see the top, but you can never reach it. Because of who you are, not what you can do.
That's so unfair.
25 years, and the door never opened. In 1983, he left. He was 52.
After all that work?
They didn't just skip him. They threw away 25 years of proof. But remember this moment. We'll come back to it. After TI, he worked at another company for a year. Then Taiwan's government called him. They said, "Come build a chip industry for us."
At 56? That's kind of late to start over.
Everyone thought so, but Morris had an idea. A crazy idea.
What idea?
Back then, chip companies did everything themselves. They designed the chip and built it in their own factory. Morris said, "What if we only build chips for other people? No design, no brand, just a foundry."
Foundry?
A factory that only makes chips for other companies. He went to Intel. They said no. He went to TI, his old company. They also said no.
Both said no?
They laughed at him. Who would let someone else make their chips? But Morris saw something they didn't. Lots of smart people had chip ideas, but no money to build a factory. If someone built the factory for them, they could focus on design. He wasn't crazy, he was early. 1987, TSMC was born. Starting money, about $35 million.
That sounds like a lot.
For a chip factory, that's almost nothing. They rented a small factory from a research center. The only partner willing to join was Philips from the Netherlands. Taiwan's government put in 48%, Philips put in 28%.
So it was basically a government project?
Kind of. They started with 2 micrometer chips. Now chip size is measured in nanometers. A nanometer is 1/1000th of a meter, smaller than a virus. TSMC started at 2,000 nanometers. Today they're at 3.
From 2,000 to 3? That's insane.
But in 1987, it was just a small rented factory. Nobody knew this little seed would change the world. By the 1990s, small chip companies started popping up everywhere. Qualcomm, Broadcom, MediaTek. They designed chips but had no factory. And guess who built their chips?
TSMC.
Exactly. Morris was right all along. In 1993, they built their own 8-inch wafer factory. 1994, they had their IPO in Taiwan.
IPO? What's that?
It's when a company sells shares to the public for the first time. In 1997, TSMC joined the New York Stock Exchange, first Taiwan company ever.
Wall Street? That's huge.
Were they the biggest by then?
No, not yet. They were still growing, but fast. They made 17% more money every year, year after year.
Every single year?
By 2005, TSMC controlled 50% of the global foundry market. Half the world's chips went through one company.
The same company everyone laughed at?
The crazy idea wasn't crazy. The world just wasn't ready for it. And then one phone call from California turned TSMC into a monster. In 2010, Apple had a problem. They needed someone to make their iPhone chips. And the company making them was Samsung.
Samsung? But they make their own phones.
Exactly, that was the problem. Samsung was making Apple's chips and copying Apple's design.
Wait, they copied the iPhone?
Apple thought so. They sued Samsung. Think about it. You're building chips for a company. You see all their proprietary secrets, and then you go and make a phone that looks just like theirs. Apple was furious, so they flew to Taiwan.
So they went straight to Taiwan?
In 2015, they tested both Samsung's chips and TSMC's chips. TSMC won. Better power, less heat. But here's why Apple really chose TSMC. TSMC doesn't make phones, doesn't make computers. It only makes chips, so your secrets are safe.
So being just a factory was actually the superpower?
After Apple switched, TSMC's stock went up 600%. Morris Chang's crazy idea didn't just work, it became the safest bet in tech. Now, being a good factory isn't enough, you have to be the best. In 2018, TSMC did something no one else could. They made 7-nanometer chips using a new kind of light.
A new kind of light?
EUV, extreme ultraviolet, it's a special laser. Only one company in the world makes the machine, ASML in the Netherlands.
So ASML's machines are proprietary.
It's like exclusive. Only one company owns it and no one else can use it. Each machine costs about $200 million.
$200 million for one machine?
TSMC bought more of them than anyone. By 22, they reached 3 nanometers.
Samsung and Intel couldn't keep up?
They announced new chips too, sometimes even before TSMC. But there's a difference between announcing and actually making millions of them.
So Samsung talks first, but TSMC delivers first?
There's a saying in the industry, Samsung makes the announcement, TSMC makes the money. Okay, so far this sounds like a success story. But in 2020, things got complicated. The US government told TSMC to stop selling chips to Huawei.
Huawei, the phone company?
Yes, Huawei was TSMC's second biggest customer. Billions of dollars in business, gone overnight.
Why did the US do that?
Sanctions. The US put sanctions on Huawei.
Sanctions like an official punishment?
Exactly, orders to stop doing business with someone. The US said Huawei was a security risk.
So TSMC was stuck in the middle.
Imagine this, you run the world's most important chip factory, and your government tells you to cut off your second biggest customer tomorrow. September 14th, 2020, TSMC stopped all chip shipments to Huawei.
So TSMC had to choose between the US and China?
That's exactly what happened. And that's the moment chips stopped being just parts. They became weapons. Now, here's something most people don't think about. Taiwan makes 70 to 90% of the world's most advanced chips.
70 to 90%? One small island?
But China could just build their own factories, right?
They've been trying for over 20 years, still can't match TSMC. If something happens to Taiwan, the whole world stops. No phones, no cars, no AI. And that fact protects Taiwan.
Hold on, the chips protect the island?
People call it the silicon shield. It's a form of deterrence.
Deterrence? Like scaring someone away?
Close. It means stopping an attack by making the cost too high. If China attacks Taiwan, the world's chip supply breaks. And no country wants that, not even China.
So the chips are like a shield.
But here's the twist. TSMC is now building factories in America, Japan, and Germany.
So the shield gets weaker?
That's the fear. The more factories leave Taiwan, the less reason to protect it. But TSMC keeps its most advanced technology on the island, only on the island. TSMC isn't just a company, it's a shield and a hostage at the same time. So TSMC is caught between superpowers. But then a new gold rush began. You know NVIDIA, right? The company behind ChatGPT's brain.
Yeah, their GPUs are everywhere.
NVIDIA designs those chips, but who builds them?
Let me guess. TSMC?
Every single one. NVIDIA doesn't have its own foundry. In 25, NVIDIA passed Apple as TSMC's biggest customers. AI chip revenue is growing 60% every year.
So whoever wins the AI race, TSMC wins too.
There's an old saying about the gold rush. The people who got richest weren't the ones digging for gold. They were the ones selling pickaxes. TSMC is the pickaxe seller of the AI age.
Okay, I kind of want to buy TSMC stock now.
You say that about every company Roger talks about.
This time I mean it.
NVIDIA, AMD, Qualcomm, they all need TSMC. No TSMC, no AI revolution. It's that simple. After the sanctions and all the pressure, TSMC made a big move. They built a factory in Arizona, $165 billion, 6 factories total.
165 billion. That's more than most countries spend.
But money wasn't the hard part. Culture was. In Taiwan, TSMC engineers work 12-hour days, weekends too. If there's a problem at 2 a.m., you answer the phone.
That sounds intense.
American workers didn't agree with that style. 13 former employees sued TSMC.
Sued? That means they went to court?
Yes, taking a company to court to get money or an apology. They said TSMC had an anti-American culture. Taiwanese workers got better treatment.
So it's not just about chips, it's about people.
Exactly. Building a factory is easy. Building trust across cultures is hard. The factory is behind schedule. They don't have enough skilled workers. TSMC conquered the chip world, but conquering culture, that's a different battle. Remember the nanometer number we talked about?
Yeah, smaller is better, right?
Right, and now everyone is racing to 2 nanometers. TSMC starts mass production late 2025, already sold out through 2026. Apple grabbed more than half.
What about Samsung? They're not giving up, right?
Samsung announced 2 nanometer chips first. But their success rate in making them, still a problem. Intel is trying too. New technology. NVIDIA even invested $5 billion.
So Intel might catch up.
Well, NVIDIA tested Intel's chips and went back to TSMC.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
In this race, TSMC isn't just ahead, they're in a different league. Imagine this. You're 52 years old. You gave 20 of years to one company. You did everything right, but they said no. Not because of your work, because of your face. You leave. You're angry. You're tired.
I'd walk away too.
And 4 years later, at 56, you start a company in a rented factory. Everyone laughs at your idea. That company is now worth over $1 trillion. It makes 75% of the world's most advanced chips. In 2018, Morris Chang retired. He was 87.
87, what a life.
He once said something I'll never forget. If I had become CEO at TI, TSMC would not exist.
So the rejection made TSMC possible.
The door that closed pushed him to build a bigger one. A refugee boy who fled 6 cities. A man stuck behind a glass ceiling for 25 years. A 56-year-old with an idea nobody believed in. Right now, every AI server, every phone in your pocket. The chip inside, it probably went through his company.
All from one man's idea.
One man's rejection rewired the entire world.
The rejection wasn't the end, it was the start.
So, if you're going through something like that right now, if someone just told you no, if a door just closed, maybe your TSMC hasn't started yet, that's all.
That actually hits different.
Have you ever been rejected and it turned into something better? Tell me in the comments. I'd really like to hear your story. Next time, we'll talk about another story you won't believe.
Ooh, what is it?
You'll have to wait and see.